Ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome to the Oriental Café, a podcast where we will sit at the same table to explore the fascinating worlds of Egyptian dance, personal empowerment, and halas, life. I'm your host, Joana Saahirah, world-renowned Oriental dancer, teacher, choreographer, and author, the creator of the pioneering Joana Saahirah's World and Joana Saahirah's Online Dance School. I will meet you at the Oriental Café every 2 weeks, alone or with a guest, sharing intimate yet universal conversations. In agreement or disagreement, we will create bridges and inspire each other, because the world is only one, and so is our human soul. Ready to fall in love? Yalla bina. Welcome to another episode of the Oriental Café podcast. I have a very special guest with me, Leila Haddad, one of my references, one of my inspirations, someone that I respect on so many levels, and she knows that. And in a second, you're going to understand exactly why. Now, Leila is a reference, alhamdulillah, it's a reference in the field of Oriental dance. You have been an example and an inspiration of what could be done in this field. At least for me, I speak for myself, and I'm pretty sure I'm not alone. And I always like to start the podcast with my guest presenting herself or himself in your own words, because I believe we're always evolving, we're always changing. The way you see yourself today is probably not the way you're going to see yourself within 5 years or even 1 year or even 6 months. So I would like to open this episode, first of all, welcoming you, thanking you for being here with me and having this conversation that I know will be very rich. I'm pretty sure of that. And I would like you to present yourself in your own words. How do you see yourself today?
No, either I present myself or I see myself today. So I have to choose.
Choose.
Okay, so who am I? My name is Leila Haddad. It's my real name. I didn't change it because I liked it. Good choice from my mother. I was born a dancer, and I'm a dancer. So it was my path. I was born a dancer. I made it as a work. I mean, I took it as a profession, but my soul, my body is dance. That's all I can say.
So let's dive directly into how you see Oriental dance, Raks el Sharki. You have been in this field for so many years. You have worked in theaters. You have carved a very specific path in this field. You are very specific in the things you feel are acceptable, the things you feel are not acceptable, the formats in where you want to present your art. That means theater productions. That means productions that have a social impact, productions that have a script. This is not the regular way or the way most Oriental dancers work. So I would like to ask you, after so many years of this peculiar experience, how do you define Raks el Sharki nowadays, and why the term belly dance is uncomfortable? Why do you feel it should not be used? Or maybe you feel it can be used. I don't know. Let me know what you think about it. So what is Raks el Sharki? As far as you know, according to the experience you have accumulated, because again, and I speak for myself, the definition of things change with time. The way I see Egyptian dance today is not the way I saw it 25 years ago when I started. So I'm curious about, after so much experience under your belt, after having done so much and watched the changes in this art form, how do you define Raks el Sharki?
Okay, you have in one question, you rose many questions. First of all, let me be clear on one point. There is nothing that which are acceptable and not acceptable. I'm not a judge. I'm just a person, a human being, okay, who live through my imagination, creativity. So I am nothing to judge who, what, how. No way, okay? There is enough problems in the world. There are enough problems in this world, and of acceptance or non-acceptance. Okay, so I will never put myself on this non-interesting thing, which is not a problem for me anyway. So what defines Raks el Sharki? Raks el Sharki is, for me, a common point for the 22 Arabo-Berber countries. So from my point of view, Raks el Sharki has already evolved from the 17th century, 18th century, 19th century, with all the books that writers, Westerners wrote about Raks el Sharki, that they saw mainly in brothels or in the streets. So I wouldn't be, I couldn't say what is the definition, because we don't know, from my point of view, from where I am in my research up to now, we don't know the origin of Raks el Sharki. It has evolved in Egypt, but don't remember that Egypt is the Mecca was the Mecca of cinema, theater of the arts in the Arabo-Berber world. So anyone in Tunisia, Lebanon, Syria, name it, who wanted to succeed in cinema, dance, etc., went to Egypt, because it was the first country in terms of production, cinematographic production. So it attracted a lot of individuals from all over the Arabic countries. So it has evolved there. But the origins, I have no idea where it comes from, because I found, because the Nile is very long, we know it's the longest river, shall I say? It's a river, yeah, which starts in Uganda. It's called Victoria Lake. But if you go to Uganda, there are certain forms of dance which are very similar to what we call Raks el Sharki. When you meet the gypsies, the Kalbelia in northern India, in Rajasthan, it's also a form of Raks el Sharki. So who take what from, I have no idea. I think it's a gypsy dance. I mean, like, by the way it has traveled the world and influenced. So I can see many shapes of the so-called Western African dances, or Indian, or Arabic, or Berber. It's a mixture of. So I don't have a specific definition of Raks el Sharki. Sorry.
Okay.
But
So
what the point is that I dance on Arabic tunes, either classical or more like baladi or shabi, but it's different styles anyway.
Let me just make a small note here. When I mentioned acceptable was obviously acceptable for you. I also don't believe that any dancer should say or has the authority to claim this is acceptable, this is not. But when you run your own career, which has been your case, you pick where you want to present yourself, where you want to be seen, and how you want to be seen. That's
Okay,
what
I
I meant.
understand.
That's what I meant by
Sorry.
acceptable.
Okay.
Obviously not for other dances. I mean, everyone is free to do whatever they want, and independently of what we think, people are free. They're gonna do whatever they have in their mind. No one is God to decide, for others. But
Right.
but each dancer has her own criteria of what I will do, what I will not do in my career, what is interesting, what is not. So that's what I meant by acceptable. Now, let's go into the term belly dance. And I know that you've been asked about this several times because it's a hot topic, but I think it's a foundational topic. So first of all, do you have a problem with the term belly dance? Do you think it's outdated? It's not accurate? It should be used? It should not be used? What do you think about the term belly dance? There is, by the way, how most people call Raks el Sharki. What do you think about it?
I will answer by a question. Do you know a classical dance from southern India? It is called Bharatanatyam. Nobody has translated Bharatanatyam. Wherever we go, all over the world, we say Bharatanatyam, Kathak dance, Odissi dance. Okay? So if the name is Raks el Sharki, maybe people don't like to pronounce Arabic words, at least they translate it correctly. I don't care because the belly is the foundation of humanity. Okay, we are all born from a belly, so belly is a sacred place. But I don't see why, because of some, I don't want to say idiots, but legionary people, military people who went to brothels, who came from the West, which was extremely Puritan in the 19th century with Bonaparte, was not still Napoleon, called Napoleon. They went to brothels and they saw the middle parts moving. And so they got cuckoo, crazy, and they decided to call it belly dance. But I don't know feet dance or nose dance or ear dance. So that's it. Let's be precise. Colonization is finished, kaput, over. So if people want to claim it, it's still post-colonial connotation. I'm not going to, I am not a teacher or whatever. I mean, I try to share my culture the best I can, but I cannot prevent people to say or not say this word. I don't feel offended. I feel sorry for people who know nothing about our history. They share our beloved dance. They should at least have some knowledge about it. In France, in the parliament, when there is too much noise, everybody screaming at the same time, you know what they say? Stop doing your belly dance. Even among politicians, it's a political now expression. So come on, it means stop doing stupid things. So I don't see why I'm not related to that. I call it Raks el Sharki. It's not complicated. It's not
I
more
love the
complicated.
example you give.
Rock and roll. Rock and roll is an English word. In France, we have never translated rock and roll. Jazz, we have never translated to another word. It's called jazz music. Jazz music, we say jazz. Even in Arabic countries, or we are in Black Africa or South America, we say jazz, rock and roll. Why should we accept that?
Do you believe it's a sort of disrespect towards the dance? Because you gave the example of the classical dances of India. Bharatanatyam is a household name. Everyone knows it. Odissi, Kathak, we know. It is known. And it is not more difficult than Raks el Sharki. So why people make an effort for other dance styles from other countries with languages they don't know? And when it comes to Oriental dance, it seems so damn hard to just say the name as it is, Raks el Sharki, respecting the culture, the language behind it. Why is it so hard for this specific dance when it's not so hard for other dance styles?
It's a problem of culture. It's not because let's say I go to Portugal and I want to study the traditional dances. Okay? It's not because I have learned the vocabulary of Portuguese dances. I suppose there are numerous, that I know everything about the culture. I know only some gestures, a little part of it. So read books. Get yourselves into the knowledge. Me, I am Arabic, but I studied French literature, English literature, American literature. I am open to other cultures. Yalla, it's time. We are now 2024. Happy New Year, by the way. So it's time for you to take your books, to read, and to get acquainted, to talk to the native people. We are not just a little folklore. Ha ha ha. Come on. We have to evolve. So I cannot do the work for the people. I say what I think, and that's it. What can I do? Prejudice is the most difficult thing to disappear. Very difficult. Okay? So I hope with the time and the voices like yours, mine, and some of the voices which are in the world listened to, I think things will be more accepted or more known.
Mhm.
It's an effort to make. That's all. It's not, if it's not my culture, when I study like some Senegalese traditional dances, I ask first thing, what is the name of his dance? And that's it. And if it's complicated, I learn it. So, are you interested in our culture? So, yalla, do it for real.
Mm. But I feel like in the West, there is a lot of prejudice against Arabic culture, generally speaking.
Mm.
Having lived in Egypt for a long time and having been immersed in this thought, in this history for such a long time, I know for a fact that Arabic culture or cultures, because there is not one Arabic culture, there are many Arabic cultures, are so rich, fascinating, independently of the dance. Forget the
Yeah,
dance now,
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
independently of the dance. But the fact is that even when you deal with dancers who are studying Oriental dance, most of the time, folks are not interested in the culture behind it. They're not interested. It's hard to push that into a study program. It's hard. They are not, strangely, in my opinion, I find it very strange. Why wouldn't you be interested? Also, because your understanding of the dance grows immensely. I'm going to give you an example. From the moment you learn Arabic, you become a different dancer. You can become an interpreter. Without the knowledge of the Arabic language, there is a layer of knowledge of the dance and experience you will never have. So we're not talking about just curiosity. We're talking about, even for someone who's not curious but wants to learn the dance in depth, going into Arabic culture, Arabic history, politics, economy, religion, mentality. We lack that curiosity and we lack that respect for the Arabic culture, which then affects the way we see the dance and the way people treat the dance. Now, I have another question for you, which is something that I personally struggle with quite a lot, which is the way Oriental dance is evolving in these last years. And I mean, in these last 10 years, 15 years, with festivals all over the world, foreign input into the dance stronger and stronger. What can you tell us about the evolution of the dance, the things that have been gained and the things that have been lost along the way? How do you feel about it? How do you observe it from your point?
Each of us has its own path. As long as a choreographer has its own identity, creativity, yalla, welcome. I don't care. I am not anthropologist. I am not ethnologist. I'm not here to study if this particular gesture belongs to or what. It's up to the people to like it or not. Me, I'm going on my path. Already was very, very hard. It's still hard to perform my pieces of choreography, my pieces of work, what we call mes pièces chorégraphiques, as we say in French, to impose it in major theaters. For me, even the word of festival, it's not even a proper word, because take a music festival, for instance. It's not each band, Santana comes and play 10 minutes, and then after you have another musician come 10 and then play 10 minutes, and then everybody's talking, oh, her costume was so nice. I love her, and her makeup, I loved it. I mean, so for me, a festival, from my point of view, from my little knowledge, like on contemporary dance, every night or every 2 or 3 days, you have a different choreographer with, as a soloist or with a dance company who presents the piece of work they have prepared, which is a piece of work like from 1 hour on, 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, etc. If everybody comes and dance 10 minutes chica chica, okay, so this is for the word festival. And then people are free if they feel okay with that. I'm happy with it. I like, what you call all the different names because it's mixed with flamenco, with contemporary, with yoga. If people are happy with that, why not? Me, I know what I want to do, and I know people like you and many other people who stick to Arabic musics from different countries, who stick to the style. This is our path. If people think it's not really their path, so maybe it's not Raks el Sharki anymore. So we are not talking about the same subjects. Because when Isadora Duncan started what we call danse contemporaine, everybody was against her because there was the ballet and then nothing else. I mean, in the West, which was respectable. And she came with a new form. She believed in, she was a revolutionary, and it became danse contemporaine, but it's another word. So maybe why not having different type of dances? But in terms of Raks el Sharki, we die and Raks el Sharki is still alive, always. Comes from so far away and is not going to wait for you or me to continue to be alive. People who love it, marhaba, yalla. People who are not so interested, okay, it's another form of dance. So I will never compare. As a matter of fact, sorry, they don't use complicated music. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you can do anything, So to use the complexity of Raks el Sharki music, to use a music which was written, any music written for Kolthoum, Muhammad Abdul Wahab, Abdel Halim, etc., name it, it's tricky because you have to understand the instruments. How do you dance to violin versus qanun? Sometimes they don't even recognize the instruments, so we have to start step by step. So maybe it's too complex for them, and I understand. Not easy to dance Raks el Sharki at all, because as you said, a word, interpretation. I do shimmy. It's not enough. Where do I put my shimmy? Where do I put my figure eight or whatever? Okay, how do I interpret? Because you pointed out something very interesting in terms of words, but in terms of musicality, sometimes I see a dancer and I hear the music, I think, is she dancing on the music I'm hearing? The movements are incredible, the knee on your nose, your foot on your ear. Wow, it will take me 200 years to do that. But for me, it's gymnastic, it's not dance. Dance is a soul, is all the elements of your energy and the feelings you put in it, your emotions, 5 movements, and you are an amazing dancer. 69 movements.
Yes, I think there is a misunderstanding of what dance is. Many dancers under brackets have no concept of dance. So what I usually tell dancers when we're working together is there is a huge difference between empty movement and dance. Empty movement is what I do when I go to the gym. I am moving, I'm running, I'm doing whatever, but I'm not dancing. So what is the difference between empty movement and dance, right? I mean, what elements have to be there so that we can actually call it dance? And it's so much more than movement. And as you were pointing out, we need to know the music, develop sensibility for this music. I remember that when I moved to Egypt to start performing, even while I was already performing, I couldn't get the importance of Kolthoum. Can you imagine? During my first year of work in Cairo, I wondered, so ignorant. I told my musicians, guys, why? Yani, what is the big thing about this Kolthoum lady? Because my ear was not mature. I could not understand it. It took me years to even understand what I was listening. The makamat, the rhythms, the instruments, as you said, the sensibility, the timing, the breathing, the history and the heart behind it. It is so much more than just empty movement. But dancers are trained to be movement machines. They're not trained to be dancers, and this is big problem, you know.
2 points. 2 points. Sorry to interrupt you. 2 points important. You teach, I teach. I take dance lessons, modern, contemporary. I do jazz. I do hip hop. Beginners, huh? Beginners. Anyway, so I talk with students, in jazz class or hip hop, and I ask, genuinely, because I see like a guy, wow, and we are in a beginners class, and I ask him, Gabriel, for example, but since how long you study dance? And he tells me, listen, oh, only 6 years. Wait, only 6 years? He's beginners, huh? And how many dance classes do you take a week? 10, 12 classes a week. Okay. Now, here we come. Somebody comes to my example, advanced class. So before she pays, I feel sorry because I don't know her. I don't want her to pay thinking it's beginners. So I am prudent and I tell her, this class is advanced. But yeah, I'm a professional. Ah, okay. Since when do you dance? 8 months. Ah, okay. How many classes? Oh, I did three, four workshops. With whom? I don't know. There was a guy who came. She doesn't even know the name of a guy. I tell her, if you don't remember my name, Leila Haddad, I kill you. Okay? So they don't know the name of a teacher. They come like 3 classes a month. And after 8 months, they're professional. So already, people are not prepared to study dance. Nureyev, who is, I think, one of the most important figure of a dance in Bali, okay? Every morning at 8 a.m., he used to drink a lot at night or do whatever he wants. 8 o'clock a.m., he is at the Opéra de Paris, taking the first class for children, la barre, every morning at 8 a.m. And he was the premier danseur étoile, and most admired dancer in the world, every morning. To repeat one movement 6 hours to go towards perfection. So come on, let's start by the beginning. This is a big problem. How people regard themselves. You make a critique, for example, like you tell me, I am in your class, and you say, Leila, not right arm, left arm. Leila, Joana, she doesn't love me. I don't know what I did. But you pay. I have to correct you. So people are not ready. They want everything down, fast, like a hamburger, chick chack, and be, like you said, extraordinary, like do amazing things which look like gymnastic as you. And second thing, how many students study literature? Millions, okay? Out of them, how many become writers? I know how to write, but I'm not a writer. I can, okay, give you a good article maybe, but I'm not capable to write a book. The type of book that when you read, oh my God, you read and read the same page, think, how in the world could he write that way? That's why we have poets, writers in literature. Not everybody is capable of writing books. It's the same for dance. It's not because I study dance for 10, 20, I don't know how many years, but I become a true dancer. Charisma, you don't learn. You have it or you don't. Too bad for you.
Absolutely. How I usually put it, because of course, everyone who is studying dance has at least the aspiration of learning it correctly. I don't mean being a great dancer, but they want to enjoy themselves and learning it correctly. And what I usually tell students is there is a difference between talent and creativity. I do believe everyone is creative. We are human beings. We are creative by nature. We use our creativity everywhere in our daily lives. But I don't believe everyone is talented in dance. The same way as you were mentioning, no, not everyone will be a talented writer or a talented cook or a talented painter. Or, talent is something very specific that you're either born with or not. Not saying that you cannot do something interesting and personal and creative. I believe you can, and I have seen dancers who were perhaps challenged physically, problems of coordination, perhaps not so good with rhythm, and with study and application they get better, and they end up doing interesting stuff. But that doesn't mean they will be a professional dancer, or it doesn't mean they will be an extraordinary brilliant dancer, because again, there is talent, there is charisma, as you mentioned. You are born with it or not, right? Now, that takes us to another question that I would like to share with you, because every time we talk, and we've talked in the past, I check your work aside from what I know in person. And I've noticed there is a strong political and social tone to your work. I know that personally you worry about the world, you worry about social justice, you worry about racism and other causes. And one of the things that I find the most interesting and unique in your work is that you bring those causes into your dance and into your tableaus, into your stages. Now, my question is, for you, and I know this is only for you, do you believe that art should have the power to change the world or contribute to change the world for the better? Is there a political, social function to art?
For me, yes. For me, yes, because when I was studying in London, I have to say 2, 3 words. I was in the movement, anti-apartheid movement, the ANC movement, African National Congress, for to fight apartheid, to fight racism and liberation of Mandela. So I started doing theater in this context. So for me, I didn't think that I would one day go on stage. It was not my dream. I don't want to say, well, when I was young, I wanted to dream and nothing. I don't know. It's not true. It came along. Maybe it's my karma if I believe in that, but why not? But because I was defending a cause I believed in, so I was a political activist. So it was obvious when I was invited in this group called the Zulu Theater. They asked me if I could. I wanted to join them, and I said yes. And for me, it had a meaning. So for me, the theater is a mean of expressing my rebellion, my fears, and for a better world, and for something. So for me, it is very important. But all my pieces of work, pieces of choreography, which are between 1 hour 10, 1 hour 40, 45 minutes, as a soloist or with my dance company, not all of them are about politics, because we are born political. And there are different ways. There are people, they demonstrate. There are people, they write articles. There are people who talk, And me, my weapon is dance and talk in the theater, because people come peacefully and they accept to be educated or awakened from a problem maybe they don't know, they ignore. So this is my field. But I have done poetic pieces, like when I did homage to Kolthoum, which is a piece of work for 9 dancers, which is 1 hour 40 minutes, something like that, Zikrayat, because I adore, I worship this artist, and I wanted to do something for her. So I could do poetic, but behind poetry there is politics, because what you talk about, a major figure, a woman, and a woman, even in the West, we have problems, you know. They try to abolish the right for a woman to abortion in Europe. I mean, like, so we are not. So it's always, there is always behind it politics. So
Mhm.
for me, it's my only way to express myself.
I find
And
it very interesting. And this is a conversation I had with Mahmoud Rea very often while I was in Egypt and studying and working with him. All the time I was performing, I was also with him. So it was very close to me, my best friend, and really perhaps the most important person in my dance life. And we conversed about everything, and politics was one of those points. And I always asked him, Mahmoud, what is your position about politics and art? And because I know how he built the Reda troupe, and I know how careful he was with diplomacy and doing things in a way that would be accepted by the government, accepted by Egyptian people, something that would not make waves, would be congregational. But I always wondered, shouldn't we use art to change things for the better? And he curiously disagreed with me. He was very much against art serving politics and political change. He was very much against. This one was one of the points where we collided, where we disagreed. And I was always pleased to hear his reasons, you know. And whenever I talk with an artist, I always like to see how they see this point, and if they also have the courage to pay the price for their political work, because it comes with a price, right? I mean, you position yourself, and when you position yourself, you get people who like you, and you get people who immediately label you and put you apart, and even see you as an enemy of some sort. So it takes a lot of courage to do that, I believe. A lot of independence, a lot of gutsiness, and I just love that you do that. Now, you mentioned Zikrayat, which is a theme that I would like to speak with you about, because Kolthoum is one of my biggest passions. As I mentioned to you, it took me time to understand it. I did not start loving it or getting the point. It took me time, it took me experience. I had to perhaps even learn from the stage and learn from musicians. And I know that Kolthoum is a great symbol. Your homage to her, Zikrayat, was a love letter to this woman, to this artist, to this figure. And my question to you is personal and universal. On a personal level, what is it that you love so much about Kolthoum? That's on a personal level. On a more universal level, why is she such a powerful and present symbol, even after decades of her death in the 70s? Why has she remained such a pillar of Arabic culture till today?
okay, she's first of all, she had an amazing voice with so many octave. I don't know the word in English, you know. So she had an extraordinary voice, okay, and she had the intelligence to be surrounded by amazing writers, poets, and amazing composers. And she had the best musicians. She was totally dedicated to her art. And she was the common point of the 22 Arabic, Arabo-Berber countries. Let me tell you one fact. I forgot the date. Gaddafi was going to do a coup d'etat. Coup d'etat. Do you say coup d'etat?
Yes.
Everything. I mean, you don't prepare a coup d'etat in 10 days, huh? It was months or maybe years of preparation, okay? The day, the very day of a coup d'etat, he stopped everything. Why? Because Kulthum was in the city, it was impossible to enter into the city. She stopped a coup d'etat without knowing. She's amazing. And then there is something which is very important, West versus East. Okay, I live in the West since a long time. You know, there is a problem of class in the music. Example, France. Who goes to the opera? Apart from the fact that it is expensive to listen to Mozart or Beethoven or you know, a piece of opera. Only the literate people, the intellectuals, I forget about money. Huh? Let's say it's not expensive, not talking about money-wise. Okay? So there is a class level to music and songs. In the Arabic world, you can be a falah, which is not degrading. I mean, like somebody who didn't have a chance to go to school, for example, okay? And you can be an intellectual and a writer who wrote 25 books, and you listen to the same type of music. Classical Arabic music is open to the people, no matter what class it is. And I saw the difference when I came to Europe. I didn't know. Everybody listens to classical Arabic music, even in the tiny little house in the delta of Egypt or south of Tunisia or in a little village in Syria. The same that they listen to Damascus or Cairo or Tunis or whatever. So this is already a big difference. So the songs of Kulthum, very poetical, and the way she interpreted it was understandable by all classes. So, I mean, and she had a remarkable voice. I mean, one song, 1 hour and a half. Here is 3 minutes. There is this famous story about her when she came to Paris, the Olympia. I heard about it. And then there was a contract, I mean, very expensive contract. And then the manager, he reads like 3 songs, he said. She's crazy. I mean, I paid this money for 3 songs. So he calls Cairo, yeah, 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 yeah. He said, okay, 5 songs. When at the end of the first song, which was 1 hour and a half, she did not finish, he understood. It's like the raga. So I think she's beyond the time. Do we listen to Mozart? So I'm not surprised, but we have a star, you know? We listen to Mozart, Beethoven, Gershwin, the same way. So we have our classical pieces as well. And she touches the soul, you know? Even if you don't understand the words, close your eyes and listen to her voice. I mean, she makes you travel from here to heaven. You can, and that's why we talk about, I forgot the word, tarab. Everybody's putting tarab everywhere now. Okay, it's like I'm cooking food. I said, okay, let me put some tarab. I mean, the word of tarab, it's when you are entranced. So people say, she puts me in tarab, but I cannot say, okay, let me put you in tarab. You see, it's a state. It's near ecstasy, but real word, ecstasy. Let me open a parenthesis about what you said about Reda. I understand him because me, I'm lucky. I am lucky. I live in Europe. So I can decide what I want. So I don't take as many risks as people would take in some countries in the world. South America, not only, even in America now, North America. So it's risky. It's risky business. In Europe, I feel safe. And I'm, you know, I have a platform. So I don't know if I were in an Arabic country, what would I have chosen? I have no idea. I cannot rewrite my history. But I can understand why people, but what he was doing was political. Why? Because he put women on stage in a theater, put in the 50s, I think, I don't know what time, 60s, I don't know exactly. He brought felahi dances, traditional dances that people, disdain, people from Cairo, like, felahi, okay? So this was an act of courage, you know, to have families accept that their daughters come and dance on stage, show themselves on stage. So he was political in a way.
In a way, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Anyway, art for me is subversive.
Hmm.
Art is rebellion, art is dream. So we have to do it, we deal with it. We cannot be like working in an office from 9 to 5. You have to be a little bit crazy. And we all have this craziness, but it's hidden inside. People have a courage to bring it out and the courage to accept that people don't like you. So what? It's a
It's the
piece of
price of freedom. It's the price of freedom. When you are free,
exactly.
you will
Mm,
always have to pay a price. It's fine. It's normal.
yeah. Okay,
Um,
what else? I have many
I am
questions.
I am going to add one little note on Kolthoum. When I was living and working in Egypt, every once in a while I would sit in coffee shops in Ahwa Baladi, in any street coffee shop, and listen to Kolthoum mostly with men who would be sitting down, smoking shisha, playing shishbish and stuff like that. And I love to observe their faces as they listen to her music. And the impression that I got goes in the direction of what you shared with us, which is her voice, independently of the text, the lyrics, the complexity of the music. Her voice reminds you of what it means to be human and what it means to be human with a soul and with a heart. And I
You're right.
remember watching their faces and getting emotional and understanding also why she's so important, why she's such a part of Arabic culture and people's lives, as you mentioned. And I love that you mentioned that across every social class. That is so true. You can go to Luxor in a lost village by the Nile and you will hear the Falahin listening to Kolthoum. It's incredible. Or Abdul Wahab or Saeed al
Yeah.
Darwish or any of the classics. They hear it. Yeah, عادي يعني, normal. So this is something very unique of the Arabic world. I love that you mentioned that.
Something I did in my performance, which if people have not seen, maybe will not understand. It's very important what I did. Last thing about Kolthoum. I did not accept that I dance on her voice, or nobody in my dance company dance on her voice. So I used her music, the music written for her, and when her voice appears, we stop dancing, like puppet, boom. Because for me, she's too sacred, and I am, I don't talk about it, too little to dare dancing on her voice. It is not acceptable for me as Leila Haddad with my intellect and emotions, etc. So I put her voice, but we didn't dance. Every time was stop and listen, close our eyes, and then music come back. So this
I
is very
totally
important
understand.
point. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't dance on her voice.
Mm-hmm.
It
Now,
is
another
too
question.
sacred.
Do humans need art to live? Is it essential? And how is it essential? Why do
Yeah,
we need art to survive?
we went through, the whole planet went through COVID, the pandemic, and I think that people were not aware of the importance and the impact of arts, all sorts. exhibitions, museum, blah, blah, blah. They understood it. We need to dream. We need to escape from reality. We need to admire. We need to admire people with guts who can draw, make paintings, make sculpture, sing, dance, play music, and name it. We need that. We need to go to a theater to see a play. This is our soul food. We don't survive. No human being can survive without the songs of the birds. Birds is art. The music of the leaves when the wind comes, because there was not all these machines and earphones, blah, blah, blah. Just the nature. When I'm here by the beach sings to me. Early morning, I'm not an early person, but I do. When I am by the beach, I wake up extremely early to hear the songs or message of the birds. We need art, otherwise we cannot survive. The humanity would never have survived without what we call art with capital A, and put everything in it. Creating things, tapestry, everything. We need it. This is our medicine for surviving, especially with all the medias telling us all the craziness of the world today. I'm sick of the humanity now. So we need a little place where we can dream and be child, reconnect to our childhood, I think.
Mm-hmm. What was the biggest, most important thing you've learned from your career so far? If you could bring it down to one important thing that experience in this field has taught you, what would that be?
Keep on being crazy, creative. Just listen to your soul and be true to yourself. The message will pass. If it doesn't pass, too bad. Maybe I'm too early. One Van Gogh, before he died, how many, how do you call des tableaux, paintings? He
Paintings.
sold two.
Mm-hmm.
So because he was too early. It's like so many artists. So be truthful to yourself, be sincere, believe in what you do, be scared at the same time, but always reconnect to your childhood, and rebellion. For me, this is, it's a mix.
Important. I love that you mentioned be scared. I like that. I think that in order to do interesting things and important things for us, at least, you need to be okay with being scared. And I see so many dancers with potential. Let's specify dancers who don't go for things and they don't do things because they're afraid. They're afraid they will not be applauded. They're afraid they will not be accepted. They're afraid nobody will react. They're afraid they won't be able to. I said, but every time you do something new or something gutsy, you will be afraid. You cannot get rid of fear. It's human. Just do it afraid, do it scared, don't wait for the moment when you're not scared anymore. That moment will
But
probably
use your this feeling, because your adrenaline now. So I give you an example. Martha Graham, who is bigger than Martha Graham? Martha Graham, my accent is very bad. She's regarded one of the most important figure in choreography in the 20th century, maybe one of the five, okay? Not three, okay. The first time she came, I think it was 56, I read it, of course. She came to Théâtre des Champs-Élysées to present Lamentation, which is a masterpiece. A masterpiece. You see that? You say, okay, like, I'm going to sell peanuts now in the streets, okay? Okay, a third of the people, they left. They left. A third of the people, I don't know if I disagree.
I
They
understand.
whistled.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then third, I applauded like crazy because they saw a genius. So that's how it is. That's it. And now look all the paths she went through. So you cannot, okay, as we say, people believe in God or not. I'm not entering this. Even God doesn't make the unanimity. Who am I? Who are you to think that everybody's you doing to like you? I mean, come on, don't be pretentious. Do what you do with sincerity. If a message passes, alhamdulillah, doesn't pass, it's okay. We are work in progress. Every time I present something is where I am at this moment, you know. That's why I don't like to look back, because I have so much to say and to tell, and I have so much to learn that each step brings me new experience and new vision. That's it. Just look in front of you.
Absolutely, yeah. And doing it because it's important for you, doing it because you want, you know. Sometimes I receive emails of dancers asking me, and there was one that I always remember, should I post my dance? Should I share my dance? A dancer from USA told me that she shared the dance video of hers and nobody commented. And she was asking me, Joana, should I remove the video? I'm getting depressed. Nobody reacted. I say, okay, but did you react? Did you like it? Because, in the end, it's your dance and it's your life. I mean, did you like it? You actually look like you were enjoying yourself. So, I mean, to hell with everyone. If nobody reacts, so what? It doesn't remove the experience, and it doesn't remove the fact that you danced and you wanted to dance and you want to do it. So keep the damn video. Don't remove the video. Leave it there. If you're the only one who's liking it, what? There is one person liking it, the most important person, which is you.
Absolutely,
Now,
right.
one last question before we close, which I believe
I want to talk about the quick question and answers about books and words.
we will in a second.
This
We
is
will.
very important for me. Okay.
What would be the advice you would give to talented Oriental dancers nowadays who want to do serious work, who want to do something meaningful and not necessarily mainstream? What would you tell them?
Work. Be sincere to work and work and dream. Work, dream, and work and work. Okay? And don't accept voilà, dream big. Okay? Dream big. And know yourself to know where you want to put yourself. You want to dance a cabaret, do it with love. To a restaurant, do it with love. In a masrah, do it with a theater, do it with love. Wherever you are, as long as you are happy and you try to make people around you happy, that's what's matter. No matter what message, it's just a poetry, why not? But work. Don't. We must have humility. We must be humble when we work, when we dance, when we study. Humility, if you are not humility and patience, sabr. Don't use that. Something else people must understand. I think we talked you and me about that. In ballet or modern, etc., you have three pieces of work. You have the choreographer and you have the interpreters. Somebody can be an amazing interpreter and a correct choreographer, or can be an amazing choreographer and a correct dancer. There are people, they are talented for those two things, but don't expect it's okay. Nureyev was not an amazing choreographer. Béjart, Maurice Béjart who did the most beautiful ballet, in modern dance. Nobody remembers that he was a dancer, but he was an exceptional choreographer. Accept what you are. If you are only interpreter, it's wonderful. You see what I mean? You cannot Okay, Mahmoud Rea was an amazing dancer, an amazing choreographer, but not everybody has those two skills. Accept your skill. This is very important. I needed to say. Sorry.
Yes, I love what you said about humility, and about work. And I do believe that the more talented you are, the more you have to work. And people think it's the opposite. Like, if I'm talented, why should I care? I'm talented. It's fine. So they get very arrogant, not confident, because confidence is something else. It's arrogance. Like, I don't need to work.
Einstein, who was a genius, said 3% of genius, 97% of work. Einstein. So even if you are a genius in your talent, if you don't work, forget about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, this pianist, I forgot his name. He died recently, I forgot. I think his origin Russian, living in America. Anyway, he said, if I don't practice my piano one day, I hear. If I don't practice my piano 2 days, my wife hears. If I don't practice my piano 3 days, my audience hears. Every day. It's like brushing teeth.
Yes, absolutely. And I love the way you distinguished between the different skills, you know, being an interpreter, one thing, being a choreographer, another thing, being a teacher, another thing, because those are different skills. You have incredible choreographers who are terrible teachers and amazing teachers who are terrible interpreters. I mean, you really have to find your niche and you have to try it out. You have to try it out. You don't know how good you can get if you don't try it out, if you don't have the humbleness also to see how much do I suck at this, or maybe I don't suck that much. Maybe I can do something interesting here, you know. In regards to choreography, I'm also going to tell you a story from Mahmoud. He was the one asking me, well, not asking me, he was ordering me to choreograph because, like most dancers working in Egypt, I was improvising all the time. I had no time to choreograph. We were performing every night and I wanted to change the program frequently. So there was no time to choreograph. I told him, Mahmoud, I am an improviser. I am not a choreographer. It's boring. I don't have a good memory. Yani, I gave him all the reasons why I shouldn't do it. He told me, yani, do it for me, just for me, just for me, just do it for me. I said, okay, just for you, but yani, not for my work. Little by little, he made me fall in love with it. But I was very resistant to it because I did not see myself as a choreographer at all. At all. And I was so sure. Only when you get into the work and you're not so good at it, then you become better, then you see, I like it, I don't like it, I have something to say, or maybe I don't have something to say. But you will not discover it until you wrap up your sleeves and you do it. You try it.
Right. Yeah.
So it's important to explore and to see, where do I find myself?
Yeah.
Now, I am going to close this conversation with a ping pong and with recommendations. I know you're going to kill us with book recommendations. I know. This is a problem because I have so much to read and you are going to give me anxiety attack because I know you're going to bring incredible references. So ping pong first. I'm going to ask you to answer as quickly as possible. The first thing that pops into your head, okay? Favorite word?
Hope.
Hope. Favorite feeling?
Love.
Favorite food?
Pasta.
Okay. One wish for yourself?
Be creative and crazy enough.
One wish for the world?
Peace.
One positive change that everyone can do to empower themselves?
Meditate 3 to 5 minutes a day. Okay, forget meditate. Don't speak. Be silent 3 to 5 minutes a day and just connect to your soul. Alas.
Beautiful. Now, recommendations. Usually, I'm asking for one book, but I'm going to take advantage of your presence. So forget the one. Tell us about a few books that you feel everyone should read. And I'm not only talking about dance, I'm talking about anything, any subject, because I know you're very eclectic, you're interested in different things. And this podcast is for people who are eclectic and curious and interested in many things. So it doesn't have to be dance related. Which books would you recommend?
The Prophet from Khalil GIBRAN, which is a major work he did. He wrote many, many books, but this book, I think, if I remember right, it took him like 25 years or something. He finished it and he died a little time after. And this is very thin,
Yeah.
but each page, you can stay 3 months on it. Okay, that's very important. More poetry, it's Hugh Langston, who was an Afro-American writer and novelist and poet. I love poetry. I love poetry. James Baldwin, who wrote also, he was an Afro-American. This is all the time of fight for the civil rights, a little before. And James Baldwin had to fight two things. He was black and homosexual. So he found himself in France and he finally died in France. And a major, for me and for all the people who are interested in the Arab world, Frantz Fanon was a psychiatrist. Frantz, F-R-A-N-Z, Fanon, F-A-N-O-N. He was from West India, Martinique. It's a French colony, island, which belongs still to France anyway. He was a psychiatrist and he wrote major books. I tried to find the names in English of the titles. He's very well known. He wrote about the terrible impact of colonialism on the mind of and the nation. He wrote, attends, because I cannot say it in English. Huh? I wrote it because I know it's peau noire, black skin, white masks.
Oh, wow.
Voilà, peau noire, masque blanc. It's very, very, voilà. Black, no, black skin, white masks. That's the right word of a book. And it's the dehumanization, if the dehumanizing effects of a colonization upon individuals and the nation. And this, for people who are interested, because nearly all Arabic countries have been colonized, among other countries, of course, okay? And this, I will say, the wretched of the earth, les damnés de la terre. I spell it W-R-E-T-C-H-E-D.
Leila, what I'm going to ask is if after you can send us the names of these books so that I can share them in the show notes.
Yeah.
People can search for them.
And then finally, Maya Angelou. Maya Angelou, she's my queen, she's my muse. She wrote many, I mean, all her are masterpieces. And I was lucky on one of my last pieces was a fight against, to educate the people about the fight for Afro-Americans for their civil rights with Malcolm X. I wrote a thesis on Malcolm X and Dr. Martin Luther King, and she wrote an amazing poem that I danced called Still I Rise. Before she died, I didn't know she was going to die. I had her phone number because we have common friends. As I'm in politics and poetry, blah, blah, blah. I called her and she asked for her permission. Of course, I could have a permission without asking because you can dance on any poem. But for me, it was an excuse to listen to her voice. And I asked her if I could dance on Still I Rise. For me, it's so huge. It's a masterpiece. It's worth 10 books.
Absolutely. She has, I don't know if you've ever seen it, she has a poetry recital available on YouTube. It's so amazing. It's one of my favorite videos. I've watched it so many times. She's reciting her own poetry and telling stories.
But I used her voice because my English accent was so terrible. So the way she says it is exceptional. No one can do it like her. I mean, that I know. And she had the past of, she was a dancer.
Yes.
She was a choreographer. She was a journalist. She was a singer. And she was an activist. And she was, mixed with like Nina Simone. I don't know if people know that Nina Simone, she wrote the anthem for the Black Panthers movement.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, Nina Simone. I mean, so all these people, I feel very near to them.
Yes, she was the queen. Maya Angelou is like huge inspiration. Yeah, absolutely. Now, one movie everyone should watch.
Malcolm X of Spike Lee. For me, this is very important. Or Invictus of Clint Eastwood on Nelson Mandela, Madiba, who is my hero. I can also write that. I will send you a text message.
Yes, please. Yes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the names of the books and the movies you referred in the show notes alongside with your social media so that people can find you and can know more about you and your work. Last but not least, one word that uplifts your soul.
Dream.
That is so beautiful. Leila, thank you so much. I am not surprised because I know you are juicy, dense, like a mountain with a lot of life within. I love people like that. You're very feisty, you're fiery, which I also respect because I'm also like that. We have a lot in common. I love that fire, and I don't think that you would have done so much of what you've done without that fire. I love that about you. And thank you so much for this conversation. Thank you for always bringing so much soul, so much honesty, uncompromising honesty to the table. It is really like balsam. It's like medicine for my soul. And I'm pretty sure people are going to love this episode. Thank you so much. And I hope to see you, talk with you, connect in some way, shape, or form very, very soon.
Thank you for all the work you put because I know it's very, very a lot of dedication and work because to your dream, to your dance, to your audience, I know you are very well respected and followed all over the world, and people respect you, and above all, they love you. It's very two pieces of which are important because you are very creative, and you give space to other people. So you are very generous. So, and I praise you for that. Thank you so much because it's thanks to you that we have this type of platform. Do we say platform? Yeah. And I hope everybody is enjoying because it comes from you. Thank you so much.
I love to learn from other people, and I have gained so much from so many people, including from you and from the inspiration you've given me. So nobody is whatever they are alone. Nobody. We are all a mix of so many people, and I believe that with all my heart. Thank you again, and see you soon. Mwah. A big kiss.
Yeah.
Leila, thank you.
Thank you.